A Boeing 747 was flying with 524 people on board. At 24,000 feet, disaster struck the tail of the aircraft, suddenly detached in midair. The flight crew lost all controls. There was no direction, no cabin pressure, and no oxygen. And yet, this plane remained airborne for the next 45 minutes. This is not just the story of a tragic accident, it's a story of human courage, a horrifying engineering failure, and one of the most terrifying flights in aviation history. This was Japan Airlines Flight 123, August 12, 1985, Tokyo, Japan. Japan Airlines Flight 123 was parked at Tokyo's Haneda Airport. It had just offloaded passengers and was preparing to depart again for Osaka, just a short 1 hour and 12-minute flight. Thousands of people travel between Tokyo and Osaka daily, but today was especially busy. It was the open holiday season in Japan, and people were returning to their hometowns. After routine cleaning, the aircraft was ready for its next journey. 509 passengers and 15 crew members boarded. For the crew, this was just another routine flight. But the passengers had no idea that this aircraft was harboring a silent one that had been hidden for years. Meet the cockpit crew, Captain Masami Takahama 49, over 12,000 flight hours. First Officer Yutaka Sasaki 39, in line for promotion, with 3,900 hours. Flight Engineer Hiroshi Fukuda 46, tasked with monitoring technical systems. The experience of the crew inspired confidence. But was the plane worthy of that same trust? 6:12 p.m. takeoff. After getting clearance from air traffic control, Flight 123 began its takeoff from runway 15L. The weather in Tokyo was clear, but thunderstorm warnings were active over other parts of Japan. So the flight was instructed to avoid flying directly and instead take an oceanic route. For the first 12 minutes, everything was normal. But then over Sagami Bay, passengers and crew heard a massive, mysterious sound. A violent decompression occurred. Something had gone catastrophically wrong. The tail blowout, a large hole had ripped through the rear of the aircraft. The tail section had separated, taking with it the rudder, a critical flight control surface. Cabin pressure dropped instantly. The sound was so loud it was recorded on the cockpit voice recorder. When an aircraft climbs, air becomes thinner and oxygen decreases. To compensate, the cabin is pressurized. The aircraft fuselage is sealed like a pressurized can. If there's even a small weakness, the internal pressure can rip it open. That's exactly what happened here. But the pilots didn't know this yet. They guessed it might be the landing gear or maybe an engine issue. But the truth? The tail had blown off, and the rudder, the part responsible for controlling yaw or left-right direction, was gone. Now, the plane could no longer turn properly or align with the runway for landing, losing control. The aircraft began to sway side to side. Someone on the ground snapped a photo. It clearly showed the missing tail section. The crew tried to stabilize the plane, but autopilot couldn't handle it. The captain switched the transponder to frequency 7700, the universal distress code. They attempted to return to Tokyo, but now things got even worse. Hydraulic failure. The first officer attempted a 40 right turn as instructed, but the aircraft banked dangerously far more than 40. The captain shouted, "Reduce the bank angle," but the plane wasn't responding. The flight engineer then confirmed hydraulic pressure was dropping, and in seconds it hit zero. This was the moment of horrifying realization. A plane without controls in a Boeing 747, flight control surfaces, ailerons, elevators, flaps are moved hydraulically. At jet speeds, no human strength is enough to move them manually. Without hydraulic power, there is no way to control the aircraft. Flight 123 was now a ghost ship, a massive 747 flying uncontrollably at 24,000 feet with over 500 lives on board.